So we've been talking about grey hair, and the main introduction to the whole concept of grey hair was in a previous video. So if you haven't already watched that and you want to, you can find part 1 on my channel. If you've seen that already, stay tuned because we're going to be talking about the various ways that you can colour grey hair, whether you want to cover it up, whether you want to work with it and honour it, or whether you want to grow out your colour to re-honour all of your natural grey hair. So the first thing I'll say is when it comes to my clients, when the greys start coming in, I really try to avoid going straight away to using a permanent colour to make them disappear. The reason for this is you can suddenly have a lot more maintenance when you're colouring away grey hair as part of your overall colour design. What can be much better is to either highlight near them, which I mentioned in the previous video, that's going to make the highlights the feature and draw the eye away from the grey hair, or use something more translucent to blend them away. We would call that a demi colour, or you can use a permanent colour with a lower developer, which is going to give you a more translucent coverage over those grey hairs to stop them from kind of glaring out at you, but not to give you that really harsh root that comes with a solid opaque colour. As you get more hair growing in that's grey, it's really important to think about where the greys are spread throughout your hair. This is a really good time to discuss with your colourist or your hairdresser what's going on with your hair. Some people, grey hair spreads throughout the hair really quite evenly, whereas for others they get shocks in a certain area of a real pop of white or grey hair. One of the things that I love to see is when people do have that shock of white hair and they embrace it and keep it as part of their colour plan. It's what kind of makes you unique and gives you that characteristic that no one else would have naturally. As you get more and more grey hair grow in, it can become much higher maintenance if you're trying to cover all of them away. So if you have a darker colour that you're adding onto your hair, consider adding highlights into the mix to break up that root line so you're not seeing one straight line. A good trick, by the way, is if you do have a dark colour all over and your grey grows through in a really blunt line, stop wearing a straight line for your parting and wear an irregular zigzag. I'm not talking a 90s zigzag, but something that's just a little bit irregular and not a perfect straight line. That's going to really diffuse the way that your root looks as it grows out. If you're in the situation where you're curious to see what your natural colour is looking like, maybe you've been colouring your hair for years and maybe you've got lots of colour build up on your hair and your roots are growing through really high contrast and you're really sick of it, what can you do to start the process of going back to your natural colour? There are a few different options. The first, the obvious one, you can go cold turkey and grow it out. Many people did this over the pandemic on social media to share with everyone. It looks really striking and it's really fascinating to watch your hair go through those different stages of growing out your natural colour. But there are other options if you don't want to do that. The first thing you can do with your regular colorist that you see in the salon, this is quite easy, is gradually start going a little bit lighter each time with your roots. There are some products available in the salons now that aren't bleachers that help to shift colored hair up 1, maybe even 2 levels lighter without the need for bleach. And you can combine your regular root color appointment with something that's going to encourage the ends to lighten, or you can simply let them fade naturally lighter over time, which all hair color will eventually do. If you find that your hair is growing grey in a few little areas, you can put highlights in those areas and bleach the colour out from the mid-lengths and ends of those strands. That starts to make the grey part of the design, and then you can combine that with lowlights maybe if you want to blend things out further as the root grows. Now the most dramatic option, of course, is you can have a grey hair transformation. Now that's when a very experienced and colour corrective competent hair colorist can basically go through your entire hair, weave out where the grey is and bleach the old colour out from the mid-lengths and ends and restore the darkness to the hair that is still growing dark. Maybe you have some at the back. Now that's a really big process, and depending on the condition of your hair, it might not be possible in one go. You might have to work up to it, but that's a really good way of making it much more of a statement. Suddenly you've gone grey overnight and you're going to honour it and represent for people with natural grey hair. Typically the colour will always fade warmer, so you need to use your purple shampoos, your toning products at home to keep any yellow warm tones away and keep that grey looking bright and sparkly. So finally, on that note, what kind of products do you need to think about when it comes to maintaining grey hair? The first most important thing is grey hair tends to be more porous, so it tends to absorb more of everything, whether that's minerals in the water, whether that's styling product. It can yellow and discolor quite easily. So using a clarifying shampoo or a chelating treatment of some kind regularly is going to help to keep your grey hair sparkly and bright. One of my favourite products to use at home is the Colour Wow Dream Filter Spray, which removes mineral and hard water buildup that can make the hair feel a lot brighter. And you can also use clarifying shampoos. Almost every brand has a deep cleansing or clarifying shampoo of some kind, which you can use once a week or once a fortnight to stop your hair getting built up. When it comes to yellowness, you can also combat that with violet toning products. Purple is the opposite to yellow on the colour wheel, so that neutralises those tones. Using a product with violet pigments in it is going to neutralise yellow brassy tones in your hair. Contrary to popular belief, it doesn't remove that yellow from the hair, it just stops your eye from seeing it because of that violet filter, makes it appear more neutral. So tell me about your grey hair. I really want to know. I feel like these last two videos have given you heaps of information about all the different scenarios when it comes to working with grey hair. Tell me in the comments, where are you at with your grey hair? Are you just growing a few strands in and you want to figure out what to do with them? Or are you at the place where you're sick of colouring your hair and want to go back to your natural grey? Let me know if I can be of any further help, but enjoy that grey hair and honour it.